We say this every episode that we talk about atheists, but atheists have no objective standard for their morality, right? He is just saying that Satan is bad because he believes Satan, because that's just his opinion. It's just what he believes, right? But what are you basing that on, right? Who are you to say that Satan is bad? What's up, guys? Welcome to Let It Be Heard, where we are doers of the word, not hearers only. I'm your host, Jaden Hurd, and today we're going to be figuring out why God created Satan, knowing that he'd be evil eventually. It's going to be a pretty good one. Check it out.
Who created Satan?
God did.
Did God know what Satan was going to do?
Yes.
Would you create a bad guy on purpose?
No.
Why?
Because he's bad.
Because he's bad, right? And then you wouldn't release him upon your children and say, free will. I mean, no. I would hope not anyways. I would hope not, Chris.
That's a good video. I like that, actually. I'm a Christian, too. But what's funny is, I thought it was funny. Well, I think he's intentionally ignorant of this. Like, you can ask any Christian, why did God create Satan? This might be one of the most basic questions ever. I mean, I was a little kid and I had this question, but I mean, logically, if you can go through your mind and understand, like, okay, obviously God didn't have the intention on creating Satan so that he would betray him. However, God is sovereign. Of course, he knows what would happen, and eventually he's outside of time. But as we know in the Satan story, that he was created as an angel of light, right? Some people believe that he led worship in heaven. Satan was among the angels, and he was great. Everything was good. We know in the creation story, even everything on earth. So that's all in heaven. Everything on earth, it was all created good, right? God made man and woman, and it was good. God made the trees, the birds, the plants, the animals. He made the garden, and it was all good. He called it good. Sorry, oops, didn't mean to do that. And so everything was called good by God in the Old Testament, in the creation story. However, God cannot be a God without free will, right? Because love requires free will. So he gave Adam and Eve free will, and he gave Satan free will. And it's just the reality of it, right? It's not the fact that God created people who he thought would be evil and then had this scheme to ruin everybody's lives. That's not how the creation story works. And respectfully, you can't just put that on God. But before I even get into all that stuff, because there is some more I want to say about that, I'm assuming he's atheist, right? If he's going to make these arguments. So I'm going to speak to him as if he's an atheist. What basis of morality are you basing your argument on? We say this every episode that we talk about atheists, but atheists have no objective standard for their morality, right? He is just saying that Satan is bad because he believes Satan, because that's just his opinion. It's just what he believes, right? But what are you basing that on, right? Who are you to say that Satan is bad, right? What are you basing that on, right? What's your evidence that Satan is bad? And no matter what they say, there's just no way you can defend it, because the only reason Satan is bad is because God is good, and that's because God exists, right? No one can say what Satan did was wrong without the objective standard of which God is that standard, his word and his law and his morality, right? There's no objective morality. There's no truth. There's no reasoning. There's no logic outside of God, right? Notice how he's using his brain, his God-given logic brain to ask these questions and try to draw these conclusions. You guys can see the God in this guy, that he's this created being with knowledge, with logic, who can think, who can be creative, right? Who can ask questions and think thoughtfully about these things. Yet he's using that very thing to come against his creator, which is very sad. I think the Bible says, and I know the Bible does say, is professing to be wise, they became fools, right? And the Bible says that a fool has said in his heart that there is no God, right? So you can question God all you want, but for you to question God, you have to acknowledge him that he exists. For someone who doesn't believe that God exists, you sure like questioning him a lot. It's very interesting. But I actually thought it was a pretty good video. But next thing I want to talk about is the creation story, like kind of expound upon that. if God were to destroy, let's just say God decided to create no evil, right? Which he didn't create evil as far as it goes in the creation story. Everything was good. He created everything good. And then Satan rebelled and took a third of the angels with him, right, to earth. So, but that aside, if God decided not to create anything that had the potential to be evil, would any of us exist? No. None of us would exist. Adam and Eve would have never existed. No one would have ever existed because the Bible says all have sinned and fallen short, right? So God already knew that we would fall short, but this shows the mercy and grace of him, not the wrath of him. He wants to focus on the wrath where God has all this suffering in the world. But I want to point it to something else. I want to change the narrative here. When did we decide to stop upholding free speech as a basic fundamental right? What's happening at these big tech companies right now, the censorship of conservatives and them stealing our data, is setting a very bad precedent for our future. Look, we here at RSBN believe that everyone should have the right to express themselves freely. It doesn't matter what your politics are or who you voted for. You have the right to speak. Sadly, big tech monopoly has instead opted for silencing tactics and censorship. Now, we here want to fight back against big tech's control of the internet, which is why we highly recommend ExpressVPN. Ever wondered how free-to-access tech giants make all their money? Well, by tracking your searches, your video history, and everything you click on. Then they build a huge profile on you and then sell off all of your sensitive data. But when you use the ExpressVPN app on your phone or your computer or your laptop, you anonymize much of your online presence by hiding your IP address. This makes your activity much more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. What's more, ExpressVPN encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. But what I like most about it is how easy it is to use. You just click one button to protect all of your devices, and that's why ExpressVPN is rated #1 by TechRadar. So let's stop allowing these big tech companies to rob us of our data, and let's rob them of their right to our data by going to expressvpn.com/rsbn. If you click on that link in our description, you'll get 3 months free of an annual subscription. Again, that is expressvpn.com/rsbn. You click that link, you get 3 months free of an annual subscription. Enjoy the rest of the video. God knew that we would be wretched sinners, that we would reject him, that we would run from him, that the fool in his heart would say that there is no God, and we would reject the creator. The creation would reject the creator, right? The pottery would reject the person who formed him, right? That's exactly what has happened. Yet God still has made every provision, not only to make himself known to us, even though we should already know it according to Romans 1, he's revealed himself through his son Jesus all throughout time as well, through prophets, through miracles, through world events, through famine, through everything. He has made himself known through the scriptures. I mean, I left that part out. Even though we have continuously said no to him and continue to say no to him to this day, over and over and over again. And this generation is only becoming more perverse, right? We're not getting any better, right? We're not making him any happier. We continue to disappoint him every single day, more and more and more. Yet he allows us to live. And he still gives us grace when we ask for it, when we give our lives to him. So I don't want to look at this as the fact that God made a mistake in creation, because he didn't. Everything was good in the beginning. And I have my foundation built on that. Your foundation is built on, I just think it's wrong, therefore it is. No, that's not how it works, buddy, right? You can't even objectively say that rape is wrong, because the rapist believes that he's right, and he's basing that off of what he believes. You're just basing it off of what you believe, right? But my belief is not just built on some thing that comes from inside. That's from God. That's from an outside source who is objective, who is the standard, the uncreated creation. The uncreated creator, you know. Another thing too with him, if he's making all these logical claims, and we only believe in materialism, right? But the laws of logic are not material. Also, another thing too, how can you use the laws of how can you look at the laws of logic and not come to objective morality or objective truth, right? The laws of logic have objective standards to the mind, to truth. Yet, and we're using them in this conversation. Yet you reject immaterialism when it comes to God. And there's a lot of good good resources I would recommend you guys check out. Frank Turek, for example, he's actually coming to Auburn University October 26th. You guys should come. October 26th at 6:30. Frank Turek is coming. He's a well-known apologist. He usually answers the 4 basic questions of life. He does truth exist? Does God exist? Is the New Testament reliable? And does morality exist? Right? And so, or sorry, does science lead to atheism? That's what he also answers. So there's a whole bunch of resources I can recommend. I recommend William Lane Craig. I recommend Case for Christ, the book and the movie. I mean, there's a whole bunch. And for this guy to have this question, these are like kindergarten arguments against God. Like, I mean, like it just doesn't make much sense. Also, another thing with atheism versus Christianity, why is there so much burden of proof on the Christian versus the atheist, right? Because for you to be an atheist, that means you have to believe that there is no God, which for you to know that, you have to be God, right? Like that's a universal claim. For you to say there is no God, you have to know everything to know that. And obviously we're humans, we don't know everything. And the evidence that we base our beliefs on when it comes to atheism, there is none, right? All the evidence is the contrary. We have the creation, which points to a creator. We have a building, which points to a builder. We have science that has objective laws. We have laws of logic. We have the DNA. Think about how complicated the DNA is, right? There's millions and millions and millions of letters in a DNA. Yet when I write down Jaden Hurd is here, you know that I wrote that down. You know that I created that, right? That's only like 10 letters. Or sorry, that's probably like 16 letters. But DNA has code of billions and billions of letters. And we're saying that that's not a creation, but that's just some bacteria evolutionizing over billions and billions of years that eventually wrote that down itself? No, come on, dude. That's ridiculous. That's awful. So you can be mad at God all you want, but you cannot deny that he's Lord and that he is sovereign and that he does exist, because that makes you a fool. And so I don't really know what else to say. I think I've kind of covered all the bases of that. Obviously, Satan is evil objectively, but we can only say that because God exists. Right? And that's just the reality of it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to check us out on social media at the end of the video. And be sure to comment down below. What do you guys think about God? What's your objections to God? Or if you're a Christian, what's your testimony? Just tell me. I want the comment section to be about God. I want to see it go off. So thank you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your week, and God bless. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and X, and go ahead and hit that follow button and that join button. If you hit that join button, it'll take you over to our locals channel where you can further support the show and get access to additional content. God bless.